Yes, infestations. Oh, I said it that right. Wellington, how many takes was this before I said it right? Infestations.
Indeed.
Yes, there we go, infestations. One of my favorite things as a follower of Nurgle, as you know, Nurgle is the lord of pestilence and vermin and things like that, so I'm like, yay, infestations, until it happens to me, because they're all over my yard. What we're talking about right now is in the hell dimension of New Jersey here, we have these things called the Spotted Lanternfly, and they are everywhere. And I thought, no, they look really cool, they're really great little creatures, but everyone is like, they're like, okay, it's okay to kill them right now, and everybody is just stomping on them and smushing them, and you know, it's horrible. They're cute, wonderful little vermin all over the place, and they're being destroyed. No, I think what they need is some dignity. I believe for dignity what we could do is, wait, what's the possibility of taking one of these creatures, one of these wonderful, wonderful little vermin, and making them into Warhammer miniatures? Oh yes, that is a very good possibility, especially using my favorite thing that nobody else has in the world, West System, unless you own a boat. It's this great epoxy for that. So what I did was I went out and, you know, I had to like collect I felt so bad I was collecting all my little fellow vermin, and I had to put them in a little vat of alcohol and kill them. But they will find a new honor, a new greatness following Nurgle, and this they will be miniatures. In this case, they will be Furies. I decided to make them Furies. Now everybody's like, well, you can't have Furies anymore. We took them out for this edition. Oh, no, that's not true, because I do believe that they are still in the Apocalypse game. Somebody put that in the comments. I don't even know. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be at a game next month, and I'm going to bring them anyway. And if you play casual, I'm just going to use the old rules and, you know, play with them anyhow, because, you know, and put them on little 25mm bases. If you do play Age of Sigmar, you could put them on a 35mm base and play them there, so the same creatures here. So that's what we're going to be doing with them. So let's be off to the Gogar Hole. Okay, I feel horrible about this, you know, killing my fellow vermin, as I mentioned before. But here they are. This is the alcohol solution. I am so sorry. So sorry, so sorry. So what we have to do now is we have to pose them. See how they're like in rigor mortis? They're all like trying to like, what do you call it? Bunch up here, over here. And so we have to kind of spread them out. So I'm going to take some needles. Now I'm not actually going to puncture the insect itself. I'm going to open them up. One, okay, I could use an angle. And remember, don't stick the pins through the wings. Just get it where it's going to be a support as it dries out, and it'll hold that position until you can put the West System epoxy on it. Okay, that's a nice little scary attack mode. And we have two more on the inside. It's really fighting me. Okay, I gotta go back to that other one, and got away from me. How rude. Okay, the front leg. Rather ghoulish, isn't it? Okay, and then we also want to keep the wings. I'm going to position the wings the way I want them now. Oh, and we lost that leg again. Okay, this is a very rude insect. Let me try. I'm going to try an angle. Let me try a different angle. Okay, there. I have it gripped much better at that angle. And we don't want the wings are going to want to go this way. They're going to want to try to fold in the rigor mortis. So I'm going to just not going through the wing, but just making a little stop right, as you can see. As it dries out, it'll keep it in that position. Until I'll give it a couple days to dry, maybe give it out 2 days to dry. Make sure it's nice and mummified. And then the next step will be mounting it with the West System. Another gruesome step we're doing here. Okay, so I cut a nice thin piece of wire here. I'm dipping it in a 2-part epoxy. This will be the 5-minute epoxy. And then I have to impale this poor sucker to mount him. Take a fat Nosferatu! Ah! Oh God, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay, and we'll do that with all of them there, and I'm going to leave a little extra wire on there because I can cut that off and curl it as I go along to where I need it, but that'll do for now. Using West System, which was, I also use this in my eyeball eyeball video. Now we're going to coat the little creature. This is going to preserve it and actually give it a nice hard coat. And as you can see, this goes on a lot better than would on a like a 5-minute epoxy. It's a much lighter consistency, so you can get it all over the place. Got to be very careful around the legs. Got to make sure at this point the legs are still brittle before the epoxy is going to set on them and harden them. So you have to go over them really carefully. And then once this dries, I'm going to take 5-minute epoxy, and I will reinforce it. On the bottom side of the wings, it'll be reinforced with the regular 5-minute epoxy you get at your hardware store. And at the joints, every little joint and inside of that wing is where we're going to hit them. And you can go heavy on the other side too. The underside is not going to be that much visible, so that's the best place to reinforce all of this. This also helps to hang it over something to catch all the extra wet system that drips off. And you can scoop it up and fill in the spots that you might have missed before. And once completed, and you have it on the top foam, you'll also see where it might start pooling up, like underneath the around the claws and such, and you can just clean that up. If you get a little lump in there, just clean that up very carefully, and that'll keep it from getting any globules like showing. Like okay, there's like one very large globule right there. There we go, right there. Just clean that up. Even though when I'm done, I'm going to go back over, and like I said before, I'll take the regular 2-part epoxy and just reinforce these areas, the weaker areas. So it will glob up a little bit, but we'll try to get it as minimal as possible for now. Okay, so it's time to recapitate. Here we go. Now here's one completed with the wet system, and we have the legs reinforced right there. And we're going to put the heads on these little guys right here. So, okay, now I'm using 3 different sorts here. Now these are the Crypt Ghouls from Games Workshop. Pretty much, if you want to just get them in pieces, you could get them on go on eBay and just go, get them in the what is that? What they call them parts? Bits. Look for Bits Crypt Ghouls, and they are from the Age of Sigmar in the Warhammer game. They're actually pretty easy to find. These here are a little bit more harder to find. This is from Puppets War. This is the Nightmare Heads, and I'm also going to include some skulls, which are going to be related to these guys, but only more rotted through Nurgle's rot. And what do you say we take them to the computer, the magical box, and show them exactly what the page is? Yay! Okay, let's go, Wellington, let's go. Here we go. This is the Puppets War Nightmare Heads. Now, these would also be good. I think, well, what do you think? They look a bit Tzichi, I think. So, like, if you painted these Furies blue, it could be similar to a blue horror. Maybe a bit Slaneshi, too, or even a Tyrannid. If you could do something with a Tyrannid gargoyle, I know the Ripper Swarms they took down would have been perfect for Ripper Swarms, but no, they're not around anymore. So this is the one of the heads I'm going to be using. Now, here we go with the puppet heads. Puppet Wars, we have the skull heads. Now, these are all about the same size as would be like a cultist or one of the Astra Militarum. So the smaller heads, and these work great on the flies. And if you go on the site, there's actually quite a few. There's quite a few really good ones here. There's actually the ones that are for the Mechanicus look very creepy and buggy too. They would look good. Or the gas mask ones would look very good on a Nurgly one. And the final one would be the Crypt Ghouls from Games Workshop. As a matter of fact, the bodies can be converted. I converted mine into Nurgle cultists, and I'll show those at the end of the video because I got to dig them up somewhere. They're in a milk carton someplace. But what I did was I used the heads for these I'm going to use this for the flies. They were leftover bits, but the bodies I converted to the cultist. I'll throw that in. We'll throw that in as an extra bonus. The Crypt Ghoul heads, you don't have to worry about altering these for the project because they already have a recess in the back. So these ones here, you don't have to do anything special to. For the Puppets War heads, you have to do a little bit of work on them. Just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to snip off the bottom. Then we're going to snip the back off. Just a little bit. Just enough so we can take a little hand drill here. And don't drill through your hands. Use a dull bit. And just make a little indentation there for the Aves epoxy sculpt to stick in. And we're going to do the same thing with these skulls. So once again, cut off the neck. Ah! And cut a little piece off the back, not too much, to do the indentation. The two-part AV is this epoxy sculpt. Going to mix together here. Get that mixed up nice and good. And the first one that we're going to do will be the crypt ghouls. I'll do the crypt ghoul head. And all you do is just a little bit. Just a tiny, tiny bit. And work it. Stuff it in that little hole right there. As you can see there. Looks like he's mad at me. Actually, this is the one that should be mad at me. This is the one I dipped in alcohol and covered in... covered in Aves. I can't grab it. Okay. Let's see. To grab it easier, let's see. Let me make a little loop right here. So, stop going around the merry-go-round. I covered this one in West System, to be correct. And... What did I do with the head? Oh, the little piece of Aves came out of it. Get that in there. And stick it right on. Push that in. Maybe give him a little bit of a slant there. And I'm not going to worry about the underside of it. For the back, I'm just going to tool it down a little bit. Don't have to blend it perfectly. It'll have to be insected, like carapace-like. So I could probably get away with that right there. And the final very important step is the CA glue. I'm going to give it a shot of CA glue. Try not to get it into the details. Try to get it to run into the spaces. And this will fully bond it. It won't actually otherwise. There we go. Aim that downward. Unfold it. And I'm going to stick it back in the foam. Ouch. Stick it back in the foam. I'm going to let that dry. And what is the proper name of the... Damn it, I can't think of the proper name. They're in the Gene Stealers. I don't have a Gene Stealer army, but they're there. They're both in the Gene Stealer cult and the actual Tyranid army. Maybe they're called Gene Stealers. Yeah, possibly. Now it's time to do the base right here. Now, I'm going to do these for the, this will be the Warhammer 40,000 version, which is the 25mm one, which they recently got rid of, but I'm going to use them anyway, but I'm pretty sure I could use it for Apocalypse, as I mentioned before. So this will be the 35mm size. I do believe if you play Age of Sigmar Warhammer, it's a 35mm, and in any case, in the future, if I ever decided to change things up and play that game, I would just add another base to the bottom of this and enlarge it and use it for that. But for now, okay, we started a little Anakin trick right here. I took the regular, you know, the regular glue here for the for these. I put it on a little bit of sand, then I worked the sand off just to give it some sort of grip right there.
Baragonis, is that a cement glue?
So, no, yeah, this is actually the Testo is one that's actually made for this right here. This is the plastic bottles one, and just a little dab on there, threw some sand on there, and then after it dried, I try to work the sand off as much as possible, and that gives me a nice little sandpaper grab right there for the base. Because what we're going to do is I'm going to take an incompleted one right now, but here's how I'm going to straighten it out, and so it's in this flying position up a little bit here. Try not to touch the figure as much. And from this point down here, I'm going to make it about that high, and I'm going to put a little sea curlicue in here. Was that okay? There we go. There, just to give that something to grab. Maybe tighten that up a little bit there. I think I'll just tighten that up a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Then I'm going to snip it off. Snip off the excess and hold it nice and carefully. And goggles on, bink, right in the eye. Okay, I'm going to gently hold it here and get an idea. Okay, yeah, that's looking good. So let's put this little fella to the side right here. And we've got the Aves Epoxy Sculpt A and B. Mix some of that up. Okay, there we go. Nice and mixed up. I'm going to put a little bit down first on the base. Now, I could cover the entire base with it and texture it, but I go back and I use some sand texture medium on that and to finish it off in some little rocklets and things like that. And now we're going to set this on the base. Matter of fact, you know, here's another idea too. I'm just going to texture it just a little bit with a rock. I want a rock! And I'll need another little piece to put on top. Okay, let's get this guy. Try not to, the legs are still very fragile on these damn things, so you have to be very careful. Let's see, going right in there, yes. Okay, gotta press that in. Like so. And move it around to where I want it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And throw a little bit of Aves on top of that to give it a little extra security. And let's get the rock. I want a rock! And I don't have to be perfect with this. Like I said, I'll cover it later with some sand medium and some little pebbles and then paint that up. So that'll be for the base. Okay, we're going to be blending this little fella all in right here. So I'm going to start with some of the some black primer airbrush paint, or you could use any black. Little drop right there, and I'm going to use it to try to match the body as much as possible. There's the head. There's the Crypt Ghoul head. First, we're just going to coat that. Next up, dry brush with like an ivory color or a light flesh color. Just dry brush the highlights. There we go. Maybe a little down the back too. Get some of the details going down the back. Now, if you notice, these little buggers here have some great coloration to them. So I'm not going to go like too hard on painting over it. What we're going to use is, using an airbrush, we're going to use the green gold transparent. And and everything that's underneath, all these little weird creepy details and little designs, that'll show through, but it'll be more of a greener color, making it more for like more nurgly. Now for the Tzitz one we're going to be doing the same thing, but we'll be doing it in a phthalo blue-green shade. And it's the same one. That's another transparent. So here, let's go along with the green first. Just a drop of green. A little turn there. And also the face too. You want to get all those details you just dry brushed. You want to give it that green look. And from the underneath too. Hard to do this with a camera. Ah, there we go. Okay, for the next step here, we're going to skip showing you this because you probably already know how to paint miniatures. But as you can see, I'll bring over the out of the way. To finish it off, we just went over, I dry brushed it very, very, very weakly with the ivory again. And then, you know, just little red dots for eyes. You know, did the teeth in some bone color there. A little pink for the lips right there to complete it. And the final stage, finishing it off here, as you can see. Now, here's the one we just did. Over here, we just gave it a very slight dry brush. I used I went back to the ivory color again, very slight dry brush. And you know, if you paint miniatures, you know, the little details here. We have the bone-colored teeth, a little pink for the lips, and 2 red eyes. And that completes the painting job. So you're wondering what we did. Okay, so we got the Crypt Ghouls. We used all the Crypt Ghoul heads on the Furies. So what do we do with the bodies? So what I decided to do was a Nurgle Chaos Cult with them, and I call these guys the Draggers. The reason I call them the Draggers is they have these huge weapons attached to them mechanically that they must be dragging on the ground. So the Draggers right here, what I did was I went to Cromlech, and I've got the mechanical orc arms, and those were attached onto them. So these are actually for the, or what they call the greenskin. The greenskin figures, I use that for the weapons, various weapons on the arms. And for the heads, they have the gas mask soldiers, which you could find both on Cromlech, and you could also find on Spellcrow. The Spellcrow ones are a little easier to paint. So as you can see, so the head has been replaced right there, and now I have a bunch of Chaos Cultists for Nurgle. Yay, hell Nurgle!